Hi everyone, my name is Maxine Wells. I'm a licensed broker. We're here in my office, Home Smart Realty Group. We're located in Orland Park, 18305 Distinctive Drive. I'm here today with my great friend and great lender, Glenn Marino. Previously we did a video in regards to 3 buckets of cash. We did the first bucket, which is down payment, and today we're here to present the second bucket, which is
closing costs and who pays for it. Kind of like what we did in the first video, we found out that a lot of the people that we deal with in our industry, they're ready to give the landlord that first month's rent. They're ready to give them that security deposit. They got $1,550, they got $3,000. They're ready to do that. And so what we did in the last video is we showed them that, hey, if you're looking at maybe a $200,000 home, yeah, your down payment's 3.5% of that. 3.5% of 200 is $7,000. You go, oh, don't have that kind of money. And we showed them that all they had to do was come up with 1% of that $200,000 or $2,000, and they could still be on their journey toward home ownership. And they go, $2,000 versus $3,000 to the landlord. I'm good for that.
Yes.
So we're going to carry on today to get into the second bucket, which is closing costs, because we know that most purchase transactions, the closing costs are going to be about $4,500. So once again, I imagine, Maxine, many of the renters, many of the first-time home buyers that you and I deal with, when they hear that, well, you helped me with down payment, I only have to come up with $2,000, but now you're asking me for $4,500? Remember, I only had $3,000 in the bank to give to the landlord, and now you're asking for $4,500. And so in their minds, they start to defeat themselves. They say, I can't be a homeowner. And we're here today, you and I, to talk to them about there's other options to pay those closing costs. So we brought the whiteboard out again.
awesome.
So let's go give them a little bit of this whiteboard.
Okay.
So what Maxine and I have done here is we said, who pays the closing costs? And again, Maxine, if the buyer, which wouldn't you say most people when we say that there's going to be about $4,500 in closing costs, they're thinking the buyer has to pay them, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And if they did, again, some people have the money sitting in the bank. If they did, they would get a current rate today of about 4.625. They would pay the closing costs. They're going to get the most competitive rate. And then on a purchase price of $200, that would be about their loan amount, about $196,000. And just the principal and interest portion of the payment be about $1,010. So they go, okay, I get it, but for a lot of our tenant people, the renter people, the first-time home buyers, they say, I don't have that $4,500.
Yes.
I got that $2,000 for the down payment bucket, but how can you help me on closing costs? So we've got 3 other entities up here. The IDA, or the State of Illinois, the Down Payment Assistance Program. We got the seller who can also pay those closing costs. And last but not least, the lender. So let's take a look at the ramifications on each one of those. So the first column here, other than the buyer, is IDA, the Illinois Housing Development Authority. They're saying, hey, if you have greater than a 640 credit score, if your household makes less than $101,520, and we got to admit, probably most of our renters make less than $101,520, correct?
Yes.
So they're probably going to qualify for up to $10,000 in IDA funds. In bucket number 1, they use $5,000. They still got $5,000 sitting in that down payment assistance bucket. They only need $4,500. So out of pocket for them is going to be $0 if they go with IDA. If they have that 640 or better score and they make less than $101,520. What does that mean? They're still getting a purchase price of $200,000. The purchase price hasn't changed. The loan amount hasn't changed, but the interest rate has gone up. Meaning that if you take the IDA funds, you're going to pay a slightly higher interest rate to get that money, that zero interest loan, and now your principal and interest payment goes up to $1,054 from $1,010. Do you think that's going to stop anybody from becoming a homeowner because the interest rate was slightly higher?
Slightly.
Yeah. It's such a slight increase in their monthly payment. They're going to say,
yes.
Hey, you're giving me $10,000. I'm more than happy to move forward becoming a homeowner.
I don't have a problem with that.
So once again, let's then see who else can pay. Sometimes you as realtors, through your discussion with the seller side when you're looking to make an offer, you find out that the seller might be amenable to paying the closing costs. Wouldn't that would be a great benefit?
Yeah.
any dollars that the seller pays in closing costs reduces the need for funds from the IDA program. Because again, there's 10,000, there's 7,500, there's 6,000, so it could reduce the amount of funds that someone might get there. But let's just say, for sake of discussion, that the seller, you go through the whole negotiation, seller says, no, I'm not paying any closing costs. Well, what I've seen you do, I've seen others do, is that you say, all right, once you get a table of expectation, you've negotiated back and forth. The seller says, I want $205,000 for this house. Your offer is $195,000 from the buyer. You guys meet in the middle. You come up with $200,000. The buyer's agent, you as the buyer's agent, would start putting together the purchase contract, correct?
Yes.
You're filling in the blanks. And then all of a sudden you stop, you pick up the phone, you call back to the seller side and say, guess what? My client does not want to pay $200,000. You see this big sigh on the other side going, what do you mean, Maxine? We just got done negotiating. You say in the next breath, my client wants to pay more. And they go, what do you mean he wants to pay more? We said $200,000. Nope, my client wants to pay $204,500, provided your client, the seller, pays $4,500 in closing costs.
Yes.
The net effect is down to $200,000 that the seller would net. So the seller gets what they want, a $200,000 net. The realtors are happy, they're getting commissions on a higher sales price. The buyer's happy because they're coming up with zero for closing costs. The purchase price is $204,500. Their loan is a little over $200,000, and now the principal and interest is $1,032.
Okay.
They go, again, very reasonable mortgage payment that they have to make. And so this becomes a very viable option. The only weakness to that strategy is you as realtors have to make sure that the property will appraise for at least $204,500. So you're only going to employ that strategy when you feel confident that the value is there should you gross up the purchase price.
Okay.
The last entity that can pay closing costs is the lender. And how does the lender do that? Well, what they do is they start out with a market interest rate, 4.625. If the customer is willing to accept a higher interest rate, so for every 8, 4.75, 4.875, 5%, up to 5.25 here, the lender will then give a credit back to the borrower to pay the closing costs. So once again, with a higher interest rate, the lender will give a credit such that out of pocket, our customer pays zero in closing costs. So what does that mean? It means it's still they're buying it for $200,000, the loan's $196,000, but because the interest rate's 5.25, the principal and interest payment or portion of that is $1,084. So you kind of exhaust all the options as you move across here. This option on the lender paying the closing costs is not available if they go IDA, because IDA dictates the interest rate. This 5% comes out every single morning from IDA. There's no higher interest rate, there's no lower interest rate. There's one interest rate for the whole state of Illinois. So there is no lender credit for paying closing costs. You need to use all of the IDA funds to pay the closing costs. So with that, if now I've got my down payment is only 1% of the purchase price, in our example, $200,000, I have to come up with $2,000 if I'm a renter. And now you've given me IDA or the seller that's paying my closing costs, so I'm coming up with $0 as a buyer. How can I get a hold of you? Because I'm getting excited about, I think I can become a homeowner. How can I get a hold of you to start showing me some homes?
Well, you know what? These are so many great options. As a renter or new home buyer, there's so many ways that you can fit into this program. So if you're interested, just give me a call. My contact number is 773-243-9126.
And to get a hold of me, Glenn Marino at First Centennial Mortgage, my phone number is 630-983-3604. We'll get you pre-approved free of charge. I'll also let you know that you can just go to your app store, download FCM Express. You can do your pre-approval application on your phone, IDA has a calculator button to calculate these payments as to what your payment might be. And the great thing, Maxine, is it also has a little scan button where when they want to scan their W-2s, their pay stubs,
Oh, nice.
they can just click with the camera button on their phone, upload the documents, and off it goes to me, and we'll get them pre-approved within 24 hours. So get a hold of us. We're interested in helping you become homeowners. We look forward to seeing you in the next video where we're going to talk about escrows, who pays.
Yes.
Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in.